Hi everyone, my name is Carl Hamilton. The name of this presentation is Can Renewable Energy Meet the Energy Needs of the Future? Prior to addressing the question, first we must put the dilemma into perspective in relation to population and energy. Currently, the world has a population of around 7.3 billion people and is expected to increase by 65% to an astonishing 11.2 billion people by the end of the century. Next, I will talk about population projections for a few countries. As you can see, in 2013, China was the most populated country on the planet, with 1.38 billion people. By 2030, India will have surpassed China for that distinction. By 2050, China's population is on the decline. US eclipses the 400 million mark, and Nigeria closes in on the half billion mark and is now the third most populous country in the world. Nigeria's population will quadruple by 2075. And by the end of the century, Nigeria is on the cusp of becoming the third country with over 1 billion people. This constitutes to a worldwide increase in food and water demand, energy production, and energy consumption. Now we'll take a glimpse into electricity generation in the US. According to the US Energy Information Administration, in 1990, coal accounted for a little more than half of electricity generated in the US. Nuclear was second, accounting for 20%. However, in 2013, coal only represented 39% of the electricity generated. Natural gas made a big jump, representing 27%, while renewables increased only by 4%. By 2040, coal is projected to have an 18% drop in electricity generation compared to 1990. Breaking down the renewable projection, as you can see, in 2015, hydroelectric power and wind power are by far the most utilized of renewable energy resources. By 2040, EIA projects solar power will almost triple in electricity generation, and wind power surpasses hydroelectric energy as the most utilized renewable resource. Next is a glimpse into the locations of various power plant types on mainland US. Solar power plants are concentrated mainly on the west and east coast of the mid-Atlantic states. North Carolina stands out as a big proponent in solar power. Wind power plants are concentrated in the Midwest and Southwest regions of the country. Biomass power plants are found throughout the Midwest, Northeast, and Southeast of the U.S. Geothermal plants are exclusively in the West region. Hydroelectric power plants are scattered throughout the country. For perspective, nuclear power plants are mainly found on the eastern half of the U.S. Coal power plants dominate the eastern half of the U.S. So how can we, as human beings on our fragile planet, produce 100% of our electricity with renewables? We have to be bold and absolutely aware of that an endeavor of this magnitude will be expensive, to say the least. Last month, Greenpeace released the 5th edition of the Comprehensive Energy Analysis, Energy Revolution, obviously biased towards renewable energy, but it offers a fantastic and thorough roadmap into how regions and countries of the world can achieve 100% renewable energy by 2050. In the analysis, it acknowledges that progress towards achieving the 100% goal is slow, but projections are promising as far as renewable energies competitiveness with fossil fuels. Policies needed to accommodate further change are increasing as well. The analysis also suggested overall building and transit system designs need more sustainable design attributes to decrease electricity consumption and CO2 emissions. In addition, the analysis emphasizes a decrease and eventual elimination in incentives to the coal sector and a significant increase in incentives for the power sector. World investments will be over 48 trillion US dollars to be invested by 2050 at an average of 1.7 trillion per year. The analysis also recommends certain policies be required to achieve 100% renewable energy worldwide. For instance, short and long-term agreements pertaining to the climate. One long-term goal is phasing out fossil fuels and nuclear power by 2050. Countries will have 5-year cycles to complete various commitments. All of this will require a tremendous amount of commitment and persistence from all countries. Touching on a few impacts renewable energy initiative will have if adopted worldwide, it will provide millions of jobs, with solar power and wind power providing over 23 million jobs by 2030. "100% renewable energy will undoubtedly impact CO2 emissions, decreasing from a whopping 33,585 million tons in 2012 to about 4,800 million tons in 2050, a drop of about 86%. Hillary Clinton is also a big proponent of renewable energy, and she has recently released a plan to power every home in the U.S. within 10 years of taking office, assuming she wins the next presidential election here in the U.S. Her proposal, a bold one at that, is to install over 500 million solar panels across the country. So as you can imagine, big old companies do not want her in office, as her proposal has the potential to destroy their industry. Hillary's bold goals could lay the groundwork for an agenda that will continue to impact the U.S. far after she leaves office. For instance, historic additions to the power generation grid utilizing not only solar power, but wind, geothermal, and other forms of renewable energy. In closing, I leave you with these 2 quotes. "I'd put my money on the sun and solar energy. What a source of power. I hope we don't have to wait till oil and coal run out before we tackle that." Once the renewable infrastructure is built, the fuel is free forever. Unlike carbon-based fuels, the wind and the sun and the earth itself provide fuel that is free in amounts that are effectively limitless. Al Gore. So thank you for your time. Any questions?